What's on your anti-bucket list? The list of things you never want to do again. Food poisoning. A nice night of puking in the bathtub so that I can drink water from the faucet so that I have something to puke up again in the next 30 seconds to a minute. This went on for several hours until finally it quit and I fell asleep in front of a space heater because I was freezing like crazy. I would never like to have liquid steroid injected into my eardrum. I suddenly, inexplicably and for no reason whatsoever lost hearing in my left ear, and in addition to oral steroids they did that. Imagine the most nauseous you have ever been, the most dizzy, and then imagine you're inside a paint shaker at Home Depot. That's what it feels like. Oh, and the sickening pain. Dislocate my kneecap. Done it way too many times already. On both knees as well. I stopped counting. Also both knees. Snorting Kool-Aid powder. I was 12. Dump a spoonful of instant coffee down my throat. I had a paper that I really needed to do and thought it would wake me up. It turned to mud in my throat and I couldn't breathe for a minute. Quite the wake-up call. Carbonated milk from a soda siphon soda stream. Never ever again. Sneezing spicy food out of my nose. Chunks of spicy food. Had that happen a couple times. Not nearly as bad as the time I thought it would be cool, I was like 7 years old at the time, to try drinking Sprite through my nose. Climb in my septic tank to clean a block to my drain field. I'm all about the DIY, but some things just warrant the need for a professional. Norovirus with the family on vacation with only one bathroom. Yeah, Retavirus with a family of 4 and 1 bathroom. At Christmas. I'll never forget unwraps present. Oh thanks mum turns to puke into bucket and try not to crap on the couch. I don't want to eat beets or ride backdoor again. The two are unrelated. The two are unrelated. Thank you for clarifying. Put icy hot on my balls. Caving. It was horrific. I'm not a super claustrophobic person. Just your average hum that's a tight space Joe, but caving was genuinely terrible. Add in knowing you can't use the bathroom for several hours and that if the whole thing collapses you're dead, and it made for a terrible experience. And then they tell you not to touch the bat guano cause it's toxic. Oh, and also, there are snakes. I had a shot of bacon vodka. It was possibly the most disgusting thing I ever tasted. Once at a party my friend kept pushing people to drink a bottle of salmon vodka. I declined knowing I'd puke. Pass a kidney stone. Started in my side back. Felt like I was struck by lightning. After about 3 hours of that, I called 911 thinking I might pass out from the pain. Still having no clue what was going on. I think I lost 2 gallons of sweat. Crew arrived and found me balled up on the carpet, drenched, and called it immediately. Kidney stone. Had a female doc at the hospital who told me she's had kids and had kidney stones and that stones were more painful, and mine was small. If we're being honest here, getting a DUI. Got one when I was 19 and never wanted to happen again, as well as never actually drive drunk again. It kinda fricked my life up for a while and in the grand scheme of things is 10,000% not worth it. I've had friends say they don't want to take Uber or a taxi because it is too expensive. I tell them even if it costs you $50, that is a way better bargain than getting a $1,000 fine and court costs and higher insurance and losing your license for a year or 2. Defibrillated while fully conscious. 6 injections underneath my toenail to numb it in preparation for getting an ingrown toenail removed. Break my back. I did that once. Turns out, to my surprise, it frickin' hurts. Get stabbed in the stomach. Wasn't fun. And definitely not using energy drinks to make instant coffee. Also can't recommend doing a 16-hour shift at work unless that includes a lot of breaks. I used to have a job that required us to work until the job was done. Came in at 6 PM and didn't leave until 9 PM the next day. Was told to come in 8 hours later as we had another large shipment coming in. Asked for my last check and told them I was not returning. Clean up after a rat infestation. Clean out a fridge full of food left unplugged for weeks. For your information, maggots. Be in a car for 22 hours straight. I will murder someone if I get stuck in a car for that long again. Skating uphill carrying bags of ice. Work another retail job. I went to cough yesterday and threw up in my hand. It was like the oral equivalent of a shot. So, well, that's what you get for not coughing into your elbow and instead coughing into your hand like a goddamn savage. Have a barium enema. It is uncomfortable both physically and mentally. It didn't help that the nurse who put the nozzle into my rear was incredibly good looking. The entire experience of having my colon filled with barium while people, including Hottie, watched on an x-ray, followed by having the table shifted around so the barium would coat every last internal crevice, and then finally having the Hottie remove the nozzle while a few liters of barium tried to escape me is not one I ever wish to experience again. I subsequently evacuated so violently it broke their toilet and flooded the bathroom and part of a hallway with my butt barium. I'll pass on doing that again too. Vomit after oral surgery. Deal with a girl that kept threatening to kill herself all day. Despite a 911 call by me, she talked her way out of getting the help she needed to the officer only to continue threaten to drive off a cliff because I'm not in love with her. It's been a long day and time to take a break from dating. Accept a position solely for the salary. Money isn't everything. Folks, if you spend 40+ hours a week at your job, finding a career position that makes you happy is worth far more. Alcohol poisoning. Say yes to an open relationship. I wanted to make her happy and ended up making myself feel unworthy. Happened to my ex with me. It was his idea. I went along with it to make him happy. He realized he was incredibly jealous. I realized I felt neglected by him. It gets better, though. Sometimes I still feel this pang of I'm not enough because of my past. But I am very happily married and very monogamous. You just need the right person to make you realize what a healthy relationship feels like. Roll an armored car full of coin. Turning your truck into a giant, tumbling dryer does not count as money laundering. Catacombs in Paris. I had heard of them but hadn't made the connection with what we were doing for the day until we were literally going underground. I'm 6'4" and freaking claustrophobic. My claustrophobia and size made it a very nerve-wracking experience. I have no idea why I didn't realize the catacombs were underground. I was at the tail end of a 3-week vacation and was physically and mentally exhausted, in a good way. My thought process went okay, it's underground, but I'm okay, there's lots of room. Then I had to hunch because it was too short. I'm okay, it's just like a hallway. I'm just walking through a slightly narrow hallway. Then we entered into the area with all the skeletons and a tiny part of me went oh dicking shit fuck. If I get trapped here the last thing I'll see as I suffocate to death is a bunch of skeletons but, oh come Rancid, you're fine. It isn't like they'd let you in if it was gonna collapse. Then I noticed signs that say this is where the roof caved in the year 19XX and calmly shrieked at my wife we need to not be here anymore. If you are interested in seeing the very somber sight of millions of skeletons, it's a cool experience. Certainly not like anything I've ever done. If you're claustrophobic or dislike death I recommend going to a cat cafe and cuddling some kittens. Plus there are skeletons down there. Handling habaneros without gloves. I had to go to the bathroom last time and washing my hands before going did nothing for my soon to be burning member. I can't top that. I was cutting habaneros and while the juice was still on my hand, I scratched my eye. Spend 8 days in a mental institution. Bury a too young someone I love. I'm so sorry. Hope you're doing well now. I won a free tattoo by eating dog food from a can. Get chatted up by a serial killer. Walked away with his phone number. Didn't call. He was just too old. A few years later I read about him in a news story. He had killed 3 women. No red flags beyond being a little too friendly. He seemed pretty average. 1. Spend Christmas Eve in a locker at the Amsterdam train station. 2. Bungee jump. 3. Buy a second bean taco from the poor indigenous family on the Zocalo in Mexico City. Freaking heck. I had to go back to Mexico to get that worm cleared up. Get cancer. Me too. Middle school. Man, middle school should be outlawed. Don't give me flashbacks please. Hit by a taser. That crap sucked. Saving a life. I had to perform CPR on one of the store client once. He survived but got brain damage. I still have nightmares sometimes about it. Holy crap, that's amazing. Survival for CPR is like 2%. I just took a course, and the instructor said in his 13 years as a paramedic, he's brought back one person. You can consider yourself a member of a rare group. Lumbar puncture. Film discussion. I went to one after the master and got my butt handed to me after I said I preferred Paul Anderson's Resident Evil series to his artsy fartsy work. Oh my god, you've just made the list of events to visit once I finish my time machine. Go to Gary, Indiana. Frick, that place. Oh man. Visited once and this traveling salesman, we found out later, convinces everybody that he is a marching band director, gets everyone to purchase uniforms and instruments. He tries to skip town, but because he accidentally fell in love with the town harlot goes ahead with their first concert. Of course it's a disaster, but the parents don't care. Oh look, it's my Timmy on trombone. I got set on fire once. That was inconvenient. My wife was learning how to cook. She put oil in a pressure cooker. I said she was learning. It superheated and started smoking real bad. She was pregnant, so I told her to get out of the kitchen. Not knowing what the smoke fumes were, I carried the smoking pot out of the kitchen, and when fresh air hit it, it auto-ignited. Big fireball, right in my face. I very calmly screamed and threw the pot out the door. Of course, the burning oil splashed all over, setting the carpet, the curtains, and my leg on fire. We put the fire out by beating it with a blanket we had gotten as a wedding present. I spent the next month recovering from burns. My face, remarkably, was not burned, just singed a bit. I considered myself very blessed. You have been spotted by the money pigeon. Comment gimme gimme and he will bless you with good fortune. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.